So now that we have installed the control node, let's get started with the managed assets. And let's try to understand what is needed to manage anything with Ansible. So here are the requirements. First, we have seen the control node. The control node is a node where the Ansible software is installed. The control node really isn't a big fancy server. It's more like an operator workstation where the operator is using the Ansible commands. Apart from the Ansible software, the control node needs Python and access to the Ansible playbooks, which is typically provided through Git in a DevOps environment. Of course, it's not necessary to provide playbooks through Git, but if you want to develop playbooks where everybody can use the same playbooks throughout the company, then it really makes sense providing them through Git. That allows you to work with the same versions throughout. Then there are the managed nodes, and managed nodes are assets that are managed with Ansible. And that can be computers that are running Windows or Linux or cloud instances or virtual machines or containers and much more. In the later lessons of this course, you will learn how to manage a wide range of different assets using Ansible. But in the beginning, we will focus on Linux and Linux only, because that is what Ansible is used for a lot, and it's a good way to get familiar with Ansible. So what are the requirements? Well, first, a remote access, where secure shell is the default, but specific platforms will have other options. We'll discover these options later. You need a dedicated user account. For convenience, you should use the same user account throughout, but it is possible to have a dedicated user account on every single machine that you are managing. But that makes it very hard to manage a wide range of different machines, so I would recommend against it. Also, you need privilege escalation to install software and change configuration files and more tasks that are requiring administrative privileges. You can imagine, if you want to install a package, normally you need to be root. If you want to install a package through Ansible, in Ansible, you need to be root. And that's what the privilege escalation is all about. Now, when setting up Ansible, you need to think about convenience versus security. To start with, we go for the convenient management. The convenient management is what makes it easy, but not necessarily very secure. Later in this video course, you will learn how to set up Ansible for secure management as well. But it makes sense to have a little bit more knowledge about Ansible before we can discuss setting up Ansible in a secure way. So what are we going to do? We are going to configure SSH keys for password-less connection to remote hosts. We are going to use password-less privilege escalation. And yes, of course, that is very insecure, because anyone who would be able to sit behind your Ansible control machine and log in with your account has a root access to all assets in an IT environment. That's really not a recommended situation. And that is why for secure management, you should go for a different approach. To start with, instead of doing the SSH keys for password-less connection, use -k command line option to prompt for SSH password. That's not convenient, because you will need to enter the password over and over again, but it will make it secure. And likewise, you would use -k command line option to prompt for privilege escalation password. And for convenient and secure management, you should also consider using Ansible Tower, which allows you to cache passwords. But do have a look at lesson 9 in this course, in which we will separately talk about setting up Ansible for security.